Hi VC, it's Rob here with another video, and this video is final finds. So some stuff that I picked up from a car boot sale on Sunday, some charity shop finds, and a few things I picked up from a record shop. So I think there's about 9 records, so get cracking. And so there's a little bit of a tale. So the car boot season in the UK usually goes on from probably the end of March until mid-September, but because of COVID, there's still not that many car boot sales around. But online searching, I discovered that there was a car boot sale off a road called the East Lancs Road, which is on your way to Liverpool from Manchester, but it's only probably about 12 miles from me. So by the looks of it online, it looked like quite a big car boot sale, so I bit the bullet, and on Sunday went over there, got there about 9 o'clock. Really nice sunny day, and he had about 40 quid, because you never know what you're going to find. You don't always find records for £1. Sometimes there might be somebody like myself, who's trimming his collection but wants a decent price for what he's selling. So I got to the car boot sale. There was so many cars there, probably over 500, scattered around this field in no sort of particular order. So it was a little bit like walking through a maze, really. And I was walking around for probably 45 minutes, and I didn't pick anything up. I hardly saw any records, and the records that I did see were of no interest to me. The only thing I picked up was a Brazilian football shirt for £1, which was a pretty good find. When I go on car boot sales, it's not just vinyl records I'm looking for, sort of films, bits of memorabilia, football shirts, anything Adidas or Puma, Fred Perry, things like that. So Converse, trainers, anything like that really. It's not just vinyl, but I didn't have anything apart from a football shirt. And I was getting close to sort of thinking this has been a waste of time. But you've got to go to these car boots. Even if I hadn't picked anything up, I would have gone back next week if the weather was fine, because you just never know who's going to be there. Anyway, I carried on walking, got quite close to the end, and I saw a guy and a girl in their early 20s looking through a box of sort of records on a table, and they had Meat Is Murder pulled out by the Smiths and a Who album. So I was hanging around thinking, and I heard them getting a deal done, but the records weren't cheap. So I started to look through this box of records, and like I say, the prices weren't cheap, but there was some really good stuff in there. So the first record I picked up was a 12-inch single by the Stone Roses, and as you can see, it says £10 on there, and it says mint, and it is mint. This came out in 1991, love. At this time I had all the Stone Roses 12 inches. As soon as it came out, I bought them, but my son's got them, so I don't actually have any Stone Roses 12 inches, so I'm looking to try and build them up again, but they tend to be 20 quid, and that doesn't mean they're in great condition. And I looked at this, and it is in such good condition, so I pulled it out and I thought, yeah, we'll get a deal done. So it's got a green label on and a red label on the other side. This was produced by John Leckie, and it wasn't a number 1, but it was a top 5 record. So this was sort of in between Second Coming and the debut album. But yeah, really pleased to find a really nice copy of the 12-inch single One Love by the Stone Roses. And in the same boxes, so there were 2 boxes, and I'm looking through these boxes, and there's some interesting stuff. And then I don't want to use the word grail, because any record really you can buy from Discogs or you can find on eBay, but I don't use Discogs and I don't buy from eBay because I just don't want to go down that rabbit hole, because I know I could just type some of my favourite records in and pick them up. I might have to pay a premium for them, but when you buy online you never exactly know what you're going to get condition wise. So I'm looking through this box and there's a record there. There's two people on the VC that I've seen show this album, and that's Mazzy and James Griffiths, and it's an album that I've been after for a very long time, and it's got a great cover as well, one of my favourite sleeves for an album, and it's the Arpez, and this album's called Playing with a Different Sex. So I just love that sleeve, me. And I do see this in record shops, but it tends to be around the £15 to £20 mark, and I don't see it very often, and I don't see it in as good condition as this. So, and I looked at the condition of the vinyl, and it is absolutely mint. So this album is a real gem. It came out in '81. And if you look on the polls for the best albums from '81, this is usually up there in the top 20. And it's sort of a little bit neglected. Sort of a female vocalist. On here it's got the Arpez made up of Leslie, Paul, Jane and Pete. You know, you couldn't get any more less assuming than that. And there's a little bit of a Bow Wow Wow sort of feel about it. But then it's pretty dubby and there's a reggae vibe to it. It's always been a favourite of mine, and to find it in this condition for £10, I couldn't believe it really. So yeah, I was really pleased to find this. And this is what I'm saying, if you go to a car boot sale, it doesn't mean you're going to get stuff for £1. Sometimes you do, but sometimes you can pick up some really good albums, and yeah, that's what happened on Sunday. Now, looking through the same box, I saw this album. So, Bummed by the Happy Mondays, and I'm a fan of the Happy Mondays, one of my favourite bands from Manchester. It's got the original inner sleeve with it, but I cannot show that because it's got nudity on it. But again, this is in absolutely mint condition as well. And it's not easy to find this original album in such good condition, because, you know, I don't want to stereotype Happy Mondays fans, but, you know, they're not generally the type of people who'd really look after their albums like this one. So I got talking to the guy, asked him what time he got there in the morning. He was there at 4:15 in the morning. He said there was hundreds of people there at that time setting up the stalls. So I got talking to him, and these albums had, well, the 12 inch and the two albums, they did add up to £35, and that was probably, you know, retail price in a record shop may have even been a little bit higher than that, and I got them for 30, so I was really pleased. So to get an OG copy of Bummed by the Happy Mondays from 1988, I mean, when I play this album, you know, if I play it in the cold light of day, it's not a fantastic album, but if you're in the mood and you've had a couple of drinks and you come, this is the sort of album you bang on. And it reminds me of when I used to be going around Manchester in the sort of late 80s, and you go in a club or a bar, and this is the sort of music that we're playing, and it just has that vibe. So yeah, really pleased to find this, Bummed by Happy Mondays. Now, I've got a couple of charity shop finds, so I very rarely find anything in charity shops. I've probably got to stage now where I don't really even go in charity shops, but where I work in a place called Royton, which is in between Oldham and Rochdale, there's about 4 charity shops in Royton, and occasionally I'll go in there just to see, and I found this album for £1. So Richard McCook did a video the other night all about greatest hits, so this is kind of not really Ray Charles' own hits, but sort of cover versions. So it's Heart to Heart, his 20 hottest hits, and this is on London Records. and it's a very nice copy. Like I say, I don't have any Ray Charles. There's quite a lot of Beatles covers on here. Yesterday, Eleanor Rigby's on here, The Long and Winding Road, Living for the City, the Stevie Wonder song, Hit the Road Jack, Georgia on My Mind. It's a really good introduction really to Ray Charles, and if I see his albums at a good price I might pick up a few more. So yeah, heart to heart, Ray Charles. Now this next album I picked up, and I was in the charity shop and they had 3 records, and the top record I think was Shirley Bassey, and I could see Johnny Mathis sticking out, so I wasn't holding up much hope. But then I got the surprise of my life when I saw this album. So yeah, film soundtrack from Radio Days, the Woody Allen film from 1987. Star-studded cast, the usual suspects, you know, Diane Keaton and Mia Farrow. But there's, you know, Jeff Daniels is in it, and Diane West. She's someone who appears in a lot of Woody Allen films. I'm a fan of Woody Allen. I've got a lot of his films, but this is the first soundtrack that I've managed to find. I've never actually seen this record, so this was £1. So this is all big band music, Tommy Dorsey, etc. And this is a really clean copy. The film came out in '87, and it's all about sort of in the 30s and the 40s how radio was king, and it's about a family who used to get their entertainment through the commercials on the radio and the series that were on the radio. I mean, you know, before the 50s, when television really sort of took over, radio was just a massive part of people's lives, and this film really encapsulates those radio days. So yeah, a really good film, and also really nice soundtrack to have. So yeah, Radio Days, the film soundtrack from the Woody Allen film. Now, I went in a record shop called Reel Around the Fountain in Manchester last week when I was off, and I've got a few things to show. I picked more stuff up, but I thought I'd show these. So Smokey Robinson and the Miracles' Greatest Hits. This was only a £5. Did me a deal. I know a lot of people can be, they don't want to hear the greatest hits because they want to hear the deep cuts. But a lot of the tracks on here, I didn't actually know. There's some obviously I do know, like Going to a Go-Go, which is, I really love that song. Beauty's Only Skin Deep, You Really Got a Hold on Me, Setting That in Motion, Tracks on My Tears. But there was a few tracks on here that I didn't really know, and I thought it was a good price. And I'm not snooty, I don't mind greatest hits. I do have one other studio album by Smokey Robinson, and anyone who shares his birthday with Richie McCook, you can't be all bad. So yeah, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles' Greatest Hits. Okay, another soundtrack that I picked up for a £5, and it's Midnight Express. So Midnight Express is a great film. I'm trying to think when it's from. I think it's from maybe 78, 79. About trafficking and spending a lot of time in a Turkish jail. Alan Parker film, who passed away, 76 years old, a couple of weeks ago. The sleeve's a little bit battered, but the vinyl is in really good condition. It's on Casablanca, and it's Giorgio Moroder who does the soundtrack, so it's really good. So yeah, another soundtrack, Midnight Express. Okay, 2 to go, and this is an album that I've seen around for years and I've never picked it up. So it's Simple Minds, Empires and Dance. So I think this is from 1980, and this is Simple Minds. Sort of in the 80s, really a lot of people were turned off a little bit by, maybe they were overplayed on the radio, but they were very much a different band at the start of their career. This is on Arista, I think it's 1980. Comes on that label, and I really love the song I Travel, the opening track. It's funny, I was in a record shop the day before, and they were playing Simple Minds' greatest hits when I was just thumbing through the records, and the first one must have been I Travel, and you know, I was really nodding my head to it. And this is a really strong, very sort of an electronic feel to it, and it's a very good album, so I was really pleased to finally put it in my collection. So yeah, Simple Minds and Empires and Dance. And the last record I want to show was from a record shop again, and it's an artist that I don't have any vinyl by, so it's Sam Cooke, and this album's called The One and Only Sam Cooke. So I was struggling for inspiration in this record shop, so I ended up, the kind of stuff I wanted to buy they didn't really have, so I ended up thumbing through records and just maybe picking a few fillers and, you know, choice cuts if you like. And this was a £5, and I don't have any Sam Cooke. And Sam Cooke's one of those, you know, sort of the voice of soul, really. Read up a little bit about Sam Cooke. You know, I didn't realise that he, you know, he was shot through the torso. Bullet went through his heart. He was only wearing one shoe, and he was naked. You know, shot by sort of a manageress at a hotel. Very sort of, you know, a way for someone to die. In those circumstances, he'd picked up a woman and gone back to the room, and they'd had a bit of a fight, and he was sort of looking for her, and he'd been drinking. You know, really unfortunate circumstances. But this album, you know, it's by no means sort of Sam Cooke classics. It's just a different sort of sound for Sam Cooke. But for a £5, I just thought I'd pick it up, and yeah, really nice Sam Cooke album. So little bit of variety there, as usual. Stuff I picked up from charity shops and car boot sales, and a record shop. I've still got plenty of stuff to show, but I wanted to get those ones out of the way. Thanks for watching my video. If you've got any comments about what I've had to show, I'd love to hear from you. That's it from me, bye for now.